for those of us trying to build a speaking career, like here's the lesson. I'm flying with dad and we're going out to LA and he's giving a talk and dad had this routine. So he would get on the plane, he had his folder with all of his stuff, he'd sit in the seat and he would sit down and he would take the folder and he'd put it right next to him in the seat, put his seatbelt on. He'd ask the flight attendant, we're usually up in first. He would ask the flight attendant, hey, my seatbelt's on. I'm going to take a nap. Don't wake me up. I don't need a drink. And dad would fall asleep. So we would literally get into that sleep and then, or into that seat. And within 5 minutes, he's asleep. And then he didn't wake up until the wheels underneath the plane were rolling in. You know, that
Yeah.
sound. And he'd wake up and he'd wipe his eyes and he'd put the tray table down. He'd bring that folder out and he'd start working. Well, I said, what are you doing? And I knew all this, okay? So I'm quizzing him, right? I knew it. He said, well, I'm working on my speech for tomorrow morning. And I go, well, Dad, you've given that speech, what, 1,000, 2,000 times? Because if you heard him, pretty consistent. And he said, yeah. And I said, why are you doing that? He said, son, there's always two reasons I do this. Number one, it'll be the first time many of the people in that room have ever heard me. It's got to be the best talk I've ever given. Number two, this audience is a little different, a little unique. I talked to the leadership of the company. I know what their theme is. I'm going to weave in some things and change some things around so that it is a speech uniquely for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what was the consistency? He prepared at least 3 hours for every talk he ever did, whether he'd given it one time or 1,000 times. So he never let up on that,
I love that.
right? And then the second is not only in the preparation, but he made it for that group. So he was taking it up a notch, right? So the consistency was doing it, the persistency was making the talk a little bit better. So the truth is that if you heard him speak over a year, he was always using the core 90 to 95%, and then he was weaving in 5% at any given point to see if it was better because he was always trying to push out that bottom thing that wasn't resonating anymore and bring in the thing that was. Why? Because he was there to change lives.